I would like to thank the organizers for such an excellent job. Thank you very much. Such a great reach in such a short period, and for all the hard work. And I would like to begin by taking off from where Prof ended. When we actually started, when I actually started, or when I wanted to learn programming, I was about your age. And there was nobody out there that actually taught us. All right, we had to hide behind people's shoulders and look what they were typing to see what they were doing, you know. That's why that is one of the reasons that motivating me to teach you guys. So you don't have to hide, and you don't have to be afraid to fail, because this is an environment that is fail safe. That means you're failing with a net. You don't have to worry about turning it into a business. There's no bosses, there's no delivery. It's just joy, it's just fun. And I want you to understand that the learning experience is beyond, how can I say it? It's not about just memorizing. It is about trying to understand patterns primarily. And because of that, because of this course, we would have to handle some amount of mathematics. Okay. Sorry about this. So what we will be going through is, firstly, I would like to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us. A little bit about myself. I'm an electrical engineer, and I love software development, and I stuck to it for forever. And this course is actually meant for Form 4, Form 5, Form 3 students, but I'm being a bit ambitious, and I'm taking it all the way to machine learning and deep learning, because it's doable. Because the mathematics that you have done in your school, especially up to Form 5 or even Form 4, is sufficient, right? I always wondered, you know, why we learn all this maths in school, and then we've got all these, we hardly use it in our work. But right now, today, because of the development of technology, it has become apparent that we can actually see, not only do, but we can see the reasons why we actually learn calculus. Sorry? Why we learn algebra and statistics. Why are these things important? And today, it is all coming together, and that is the experience I want to share with you. So whenever you want to do something, don't focus on what you are doing. Focus on why you are doing it, you know? And these things will actually motivate you to dive deeper into this topic beyond just passing an exam. We are not here to pass exams. We are here to enjoy life, you know, to see the beauty that life has to provide. And I want to make maths available to everybody. You don't have to be a mathematician. You can be an artist and still use maths. Okay, so enough of that motivational talk. So let's get into it. One of the reasons why I chose the Google co-laboratory research platform is because it's active learning. That means the moment you type something, it'll immediately give you feedback that you have done it right or you have done it wrong. The beauty about this is that whenever you get something right, your brain starts to enjoy it, and it becomes an emotion that you get addicted to, which is a good addiction. Okay, there are a lot of addictions, so there's one good addiction that you need to understand. So this sort of active learning is very, very important. And active learning means direct feedback. You do something, you get a response. Okay, so the learning is continuous. Now, what is my responsibility? Okay, I don't claim to be an expert in Python, all right, but I'm here to share my knowledge, and my role is to manage the knowledge gap. Okay, so you have some knowledge already, and for me is to make sure that the next step will be a small enough or a fairly average step for you to keep progressing. So that's why I have assignments in every lab. Okay, so let's so the structure of the class will be 45 minutes of lecture. Just hold your questions until I finish, and then there will be 1 hour and 15 minutes of Q&A. All right, So you can make all the mistakes, you can ask all the questions. If you are too shy to ask questions, you can type it in the chat. If tomorrow morning you wake up and then suddenly you have a question, you can send me an email. You all have my email addresses. So, this is an open sharing session, and we have 15 classes, and each of it is only 2 hours. It is in the Saturday morning. I couldn't find any other time that is more convenient for everyone else. I know you all are busy with lots of Zoom. You're probably zoomed out already now with all the Zoom meetings in school. But unfortunately, it's also a boon for us to get up to speed. All right. So let's go back to the email that I sent you. You should have a GitHub link. Okay. You have to click on the GitHub link. And now I'm going to start sharing my screen. Yes, some of you may be, sometimes you may unconsciously unmute yourself, but sometimes I think it's a question. Honestly, if you really cannot tahan and you want to ask a question, you can, okay? So you can always do that. So I hope all of you can see my screen now. Yeah, okay. So by the end of this month, you will see all the 15 lessons here. Okay, so these 15 lessons, I've broken it up into 3 parts. The first part is the fundamentals of programming. Now, you must understand that we've chosen Python for a specific reason, because it's easy to learn. But it's also a good platform for you to migrate to other more complex languages or more low-level languages like C, C++, Java, and so on and so forth, once you understand the basics of how computers work. All right. One more thing I want to tell you is that if you're new to computing, welcome to the world of computer science. Okay. Computer science is a parallel world to the real world, because you can create the world that you dream about inside a computer. Okay, so that is a computer science. So now we're going to study how we can teach the computer to kind of be to make it work for us more effectively and more efficiently. So that is the whole idea of this class. So the first session, the first 4 sessions will be an introduction to Python programming language. So once we have that, we can start the games. Then we can go into more complex stuff that we can do things like handling large amounts of data, playing around with transferring it from one format to another. We can look at graphing in terms of drawing, plotting. And then if you really want to be a good programmer, you need to understand the object-oriented programming methodology. So I will introduce step by step what is a class, what's an object, what is polymorphism, what is instantiating, what is an implementation. All these things mean something. So remember the words I'm telling you, because it's across all languages. Object orientation is in Java, it's in C++, it's in Go script, it's in Perl, it's everywhere. All right. So that is a good foundation to make you an excellent programmer. Then we are going to talk about, so statistics is actually very interesting. You got some statistical experts here. I'm nobody in front of them. I just want to say that statistics is excellent for you to get started about predicting, doing some regression, doing some forecasting. Now that coupled with machine learning, we can start to do more precise predictions of the future. Now that is the idea of mathematics. Mathematics actually helps you create a model of the world before you actually start using it. So if you wanted to build a bridge, you create a model of a bridge and you test the bridge, whether it breaks, whether it's strong enough before you actually build it. So that is the purpose of mathematics. We can actually build something before actually physically building it. All right. So once we have understood how to handle data and how to handle Python language, we bring it together to learn interesting stuff. Okay, let's say you have a PS4 you want to buy, and you got Amazon, you got so many shopping sites, right? So you can use Python to go and search the entire web and see who is selling it at the cheapest price. I'm not kidding you. You can do that. It's called web API and web scraping. All right, we will scrape websites and find the best, cheapest products, whatever you want to find. You will get a bunch of data and we can filter it. And then we will do some applications. We will do some machine learning, and then we will do some animations and stuff like that. I know that is very attractive nowadays. Also, I'm sure all of you have a mobile phone. That was so interesting. I saw all of you have a mobile phone, so you probably are on WhatsApp or WhatsApp already. So I can show you how you can send automated messages. If you have somebody you don't like, you can spam their box. You know, all that is available in Python. Then finally, I'm going to show you what it takes to write a program to allow a car to drive by itself. All right, there are a lot of things going on there. Don't worry, this is the 15th class, so I don't expect you to fall off your seat right now. Hang in there, and we will get it done. Okay, and then there will be a photo session because I want all of you to kind of form groups and eventually come up with an idea of your own and develop a program or something that you would like to share and present to the team. All right, so that is the whole 15-week experience that we're going to have. It doesn't matter how old, how young, or how beautiful you are. Everybody is the same. We are all sharing our experience right now. Okay, right. I was supposed to get some of you to introduce yourselves, but I am not able to do that because we don't have much time. I better get started. So once you have this, you can just click on lesson number 1, and it will load your the class lesson for today. Okay, so anybody has got any issues, please raise your hands. I will try to share some content for you to help you get here. So if you have come here and you can see this, that means you've already set up your system. So okay, Abi, you want to turn on your mic and tell me what's your problem?
Sir, I don't have the link, sir.
Okay, you just go to the chat box. Where is the chat box when I need it? Oh, it's here. Okay, it's in the chat right now. Thank you, Nirmala. Okay, so let's get started here. So the first lesson is going to walk you through what is called a variable, right? Okay, now before we get there, can you all see this link here that says open in Google Colab? So if you click on this link, it will open your Google Colab. Now, this is only available if you are 13 years and above and have a Google account. Okay, so I hope all of you do, because this is the minimum requirement of using this platform. All right, it's not my request, it's something that Google requires. All right, now just a little bit about Google Colab. Google Colab was actually built by Google Brain. Google Brain is another division in another part of their body, obviously, that built Google Colab to help everybody to use deep learning in a much easier way. All right. So we can actually keep all of that part for the later, for part 3. But for now, let's get into the basics. I think this is the easiest way to get started, because you just see that with 3 clicks, we are already ready to run the program. All right. So having this knowledge, you can expand further. All right. It's not limited to what I have shown you. You can see that there is this code snippet. You can actually explore yourself what is available in Colab off the cuff, off the fly, or whatever. You can do a lot of things. You can even have a screen camera to capture. We will be using this later for our machine learning. All right, in order to detect, let's say, your favorite animal in a photograph, we'll be using the camera to capture. So you can see a lot of features are already there, and if you click on it, you have the code already supplied at the bottom. So I am not going to go through all of it because it takes some time for you to understand the code. But the idea is that you are already introduced to this platform, and this platform is hugely successful today. You know, a lot of businesses are actually on this platform for you to learn. So you can see that there is a copy to drive. So you can actually create a copy of what I have done onto your own G Drive, Google Drive. Okay. So this allows you to keep a copy, and whatever changes you do will be posted on your copy. All right. So you're free to go ahead and change the code, write new code, try new stuff, fail as much as possible. Get used to failure. It's beautiful. After a while, it becomes like, you know, the Dante series where they are in the gates of hell and everyone is crying, but then the crying suddenly becomes like, you know, laughter. So it's called like divine comedy. All right. So that's why it's important for you to get that fear out. You know, we should not be focused on failure or success. We should be focused on the method of how we achieved it. All right. So today we're going to talk about variables, all right, which is the most fundamental building block of any programming language, all right. You guys are extremely lucky, because when we were learning programming language, the computers were not as smart, or maybe the people who were, I don't know, anyway, never mind. The computers, we needed to tell it exactly what it is. If it's an integer, it must be an integer. If it's a decimal, it must be a decimal. If it's a string, it must be a string. But you guys do not have to worry about that, because when you assign a variable like this, so you must listen carefully to what I am saying, because it will repeat itself in the assignment. So when you see the equal sign, it means that it's an assignment. That means I can assign a value to X. X is something like a box. Okay, you can put anything in it. You can put 1, you can put a very large number, you can put a word in it, you can put a paragraph, you can even put an image inside it. All right, but it only holds one value. All right, so that is what is known as a scalar variable. So in variables, we've got 2 types. One is a scalar, which just holds one value. And then we have arrays. Arrays create, there are multiple arrays that we will be walking through. But array is like a sequence, or multiple boxes. If you arrange boxes in a particular array, then it's like a shelf, right? You have the X and the Y, and then you have the top shelf, bottom shelf. That becomes an array. So the array, so let's not go too fast. Let's come back to a variable. So a variable can change its value because it has got a new assignment. So from X being 1, it can be changed to father, brother, false. Okay, false is another type of data, which is called a Boolean, because Boolean as in 0, 1, you know, bool. So we call it bools. So you can see that a variable can hold many types of data. But as far as the computer is concerned, it's all the same, because the computers only read bytes, right? They don't care whether it's a number or a string or a Boolean or whatever. So there is a mechanism at the back of the computer that converts it to a byte, okay, or a string of bytes, or any number of bytes defined by the operating system. All right. So you can see that Python has made it very easy for us not to be worried about all the other junk that is happening inside the operating system. All right. So that's why it's called a very high level language, because it's keeping us like at 50,000 feet. We don't care what's on the ground. All right. So now we are going to look at the kind of things that you can keep inside a variable or a scalar variable. Now, we human beings, because we have fingers, we can count. Because we can count, we have integers. And because we can divide those integers by another integer and we get a fraction, we need float numbers. So all of this is like, it just gets more and more complex. Then we have scientific numbers, we have percentages, we have ratios, we have so many different forms of numbers. But as far as we are, as a computer is concerned, it's all a string of bytes. Okay, so you don't have to. So what is the good part about computer science is that it knows how to convert one format of a variable to another. But the human beings are the one who make the huge amount of mistake, because we sometimes declare one as a string and then one as a integer. So that's where it gets confused. Hey, what do you mean? One as a string times a, it doesn't make sense. But so that is where you need to understand how you handle this computer. So when you give it a particular variable, you got to specify that I'm going to use this as a string. So you got to remember in your mind that this is going to be a string. So in a string, you have certain functions that you can do. For example, you can't do mathematical operations on a string, but you can use mathematical operations on an integer or a float or a scientific number and so on and so forth. So that's why I have listed down the different types of variables that a computer can hold. Now, remember I told you that it's computer science. What does computer science mean? Now, computer science means the computer has got its own way of looking at the world. So we are actually feeding it information so that it understands the real world. So we need to make sure that we give it the right values in order for it to give us the right result. Okay. So now, if you've understood this far, okay, you can see that there are a couple of things here. There's a code and there's a text. All right. The nice thing about this is that whenever you go at the end of the section, you can see it appear again. It doesn't want to show. Okay. So if I click code, I can write code. If I click text, I can write text. Now, one of the good things that I learned as an engineer was writing code where you document as much as possible. You see, a lot of programmers, right, they straight away want to get into programming and they forget about documentation. Documentation is actually very important. You have to look at it in a way that you are enjoying the work that you've done the second time around, because now people want to know what you have written. So you must document. When you document, people understand that this is what you have done. So that is why you must take double pride in documentation. So it allows you to write code and document at the same time as you go. And there is this little, so this here is a code block. Okay, so I can move it up and down. I can insert links. I can edit, or edit means it actually pulls it up on the side here at the bottom, or I can remove the edit. So what I want to introduce here is that you can see there's a play button. Now, if you click on this play button, it's asking me to allocate memory. You see what is happening here? It's starting to connect and it's starting to generate a machine dedicated to my particular browser application. All right. This is the beauty about Google Research, Google Brain. They have created this application that actually you can manage the amount of RAM and disk space at some point, So if you wanted to run very large computing, Google is your huckleberry. You can use Google to actually do all your computing for free. All right. So we will come to that later, because x equals to 1 is not going to break the computer, right? So we will take it one step at a time. So now I hope you understand what is an assignment. Now, when you say that, so again, later on, when you want to go into a little bit more deeper, there's certain things like immutable, mutable variables and all of that stuff. It's just that sometimes, like certain things can change. For example, your dad, right? Your dad is also the husband, is also a brother, is also the uncle, is also the grandfather to his grandniece or nephew. So you can see that these are mutable. That means these things can change. All right. So that's what they mean by mutable. And most scalar variables are immutable until they are reassigned. So this is considered a reassignment. That means it is not muting, it is changing from one value to another. This is very important because in some situations when we come to arrays, they will change by itself. Okay, so it can be a fish and a frog at the same time kind of thing. So there's a bit of a morphism going on there. All right, so now a simple statement like this, type with the X in the bracket, will tell you what is the type of X. Okay, so the same way, if I assign X to 1, and you can see that now I have a double quote in front of it, and if I did the same thing, I will get string. So a type is, I should put X here. All right, so there are some areas where I purposely made some mistakes so that you will be more obvious enough to understand that it needs to be changed. All right, so of course don't put that in the comment box unless it's a genuinely a huge issue. All right, so now I hope you understand how to find out the type. Now, this type is actually more for a human perspective, trying to understand what is the computer saving it as. That's all. Because this one and this one here is different, because this is considered as an integer and string is a string. Okay, a string is not an integer. So a string, be very mindful, a string you can filter, a string you can split, a string you can slice, a string you can search. So that's why handling it as a string opens up new functions that you can actually do to it, as opposed to integer. Integer, I can multiply, I can check for what is the low value, what is the high value, all those things. So there are different sets of functions that happen when it's an integer, when it's a string, and the same for Boolean and float and all those different types of variables. So you can see that the real world is actually trying to educate the computer world to be more effective, and this is the marriage, and it's called variables. So you have the scalars on one side and you have the bytes on one side, and they come together forming what is known as a variable. All right. So, but now let me introduce to you where the marriage sometimes doesn't seem very real, because there's now confusion, because I have 3 as an integer X and Y as a string A. So what will happen if I multiply the 2 together? So you can see that when I do this, I don't get a failure. I get an answer. It's 3 A's repeated. Now, this is where the computer world kind of deviates away a little bit from the real world. And this is where either it's a boon, or you understand, you need to understand that there is this difference. And once this difference becomes apparent, then you will be, like cruising, because you know exactly how the computer thinks and how the real world thinks, and then you can manage the 2 together. Now, but if I did the same thing for plus, you will see I will get an error. Okay, getting an error is actually a boon. Okay, never ever think that you have done something wrong. It is actually an opportunity to learn, and do not discount the error message. Okay, please read it and pay attention to the jargon. For example, unsupported operand types. So what we did was type, right? And the type for is integer and string. So I cannot do addition for integer and string. So it's telling you, hey, stupid human, what are you trying to do? You know, it doesn't work that way. Now, so whenever you get an error, it is telling you a little bit more about what you understand and how the computer understands. So it is just a miscommunication. And right below that, you have this link here. This link will take you to Stack Overflow. I don't know whether you've heard of Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is this global platform that you can get answers for everything about computing. It's so easy. So immediately it's gone to Stack Overflow. It's done a Google search and it says unsupported operand type. You click on that, you can read more about how, yeah, it always wants to give me a cookie, although I had my breakfast, but it's, so you can actually see a lot of people who have contributed and given explanation as to why this problem exists. So you can actually learn actively. That means if you have a mistake or an error, it immediately gives you various solutions. So you can actually scroll down and look at it. So this is going to happen at every instance, okay, at every instance. So after reading all of this, right, what you have to do is basically explicitly change it from integer to string. I mean, you probably already knew that. So how we change it is very simple by adding a string function. This is a function, okay, just like how we did type. Type is a function already predefined inside Python. We just have to type string x plus y. So now it combines the two as a string. So it's converted x, which is actually 3 as an integer, was the integer, into a string, and then I add it to y and I get 3a. All right, so that's how it works. So again, I cannot do these sort of operations anymore, like x is x greater than y, because it is already a mismatch in terms of integer and string. Neither of this. So this operation is only applicable to integers. So these are things that you need to be aware of if you want to be a good programmer. And this is the basic introduction. So please bear with me. I know some of you may be quite advanced, but you know, I'm also still learning. So now I'm going to talk about arrays. Okay. You know, like how we have a 4x4, and then we have a 2-door, and then we have a sedan, you know, then we have a motorcycle. All of it takes us from from A to B, you know. But sometimes when you want to carry a heavy load, you need to have something that can meet that load, right? So we would need a truck, like a 4x4 truck. Or if we are taking a lot of people with us, then we would need a people mover, right? So like that, there are many types of arrays, all right? And each array has got a trump card. And the idea behind understanding which array to use will come through experience, all right? Right now, if you are just seeing this for the first time, it may not make sense, but you can understand from the example that I gave you. If let's say you wanted to go off-road, you wouldn't take your sedan, right? You wouldn't want to dirty your father's car or whatever. So you would want to take something more hardier or something more appropriate for the drive. All right. So so that's why we have different types of arrays. So the simplest array is the list array and a tuple array. Okay. Actually, these arrays are like quick and dirty arrays. Like, sorry. So these are very quick and dirty arrays. Sorry, I still need about another 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before I can finish the arrays for you to ask questions. So I may need a little bit more time. So now we are going to create an array and we are going to use the for loop. Okay, I'm just doing this in advance. We will cover for loops in actually in the next class, but today I'm going to use for loop because I'm very lazy. I don't want to work very hard. So I'm just going to create a for loop and then I'm going to print it out. So immediately you can see that it's created an array of numbers from 0 to 9. All right, so that's easy enough, right? So when you so this notation right here, when you put the square bracket, it is actually a list, and if you put a curly a bracket, it's a tuple. All right, don't ask me why they call it tuple. I think there is a reason for it, but I don't exactly know why they call it a tuple. But I have given you an example. All right, I've created one tuple called fruit1 apple, and I've just put like a basic quantity a farm would generate and the price of a particular apple. You can put whatever currency you want, it's up to you. And then I have created another fruit, which is an orange, and I've put the quantity and I have put in the price that I think you buy an orange for, I'm not sure. Then I have created another array. Okay, here you can see that I have brackets around it, square brackets around it. So the difference between, remember the tuple and the list array is the bracket and the square bracket. So now I have created another array that it says that fruits, quantity, and price. Now, why am I doing all of this? Is because I want to show you the Rolls Royce of arrays, which is the dictionary. All right. So let's just run this for now. So I'm going to run this because if you don't run this, the assignment doesn't happen. All right. It's very important for you to run each line and make sure there is a little tick mark. And when you move your mouse over, you can see there are little numbers appearing on this. These numbers are not there for fun. Okay. It is telling you the last run digit. So if let's say if I made a change to X up here, I would have to run it again and the number would be updated. All right. So remember the sequence. Sometimes I know you will forget, even I will forget, but let's just remind ourselves that we need to make sure that we keep running it so that there's it's a waterfall method. Okay, let's run this. Now you can see I have run the type function to show you that the fruit is of type tuple, fruit1, fruit2 is type tuple, fruits is type lists, headers is type list, and there's another types is called set. Okay, you can see set is with curly braces. All right. Later I will tell you how sets have a unique position among arrays. So now, again, I'm lazy. I'm going to create the last and the most useful. It's like the Rolls Royce of arrays, because you can actually dump an entire database inside a dictionary. And I am going to execute. You know, when I was in school, right? Like the time when I was like looking behind someone who was typing, we were in the school library, and my Bahasa teacher was there, and he was like, wah, type sedikit banyak keluar. So that's what I'm doing right here. It's just one line of code that generates a lot of stuff. So, and to me, in programming, that has been my guiding. I don't know. It is because it's not about how much of code you write. It's how well you write one line of code. So that's very, very important. So it's not about, you know, oh, I wrote thousands lines of code. That means you're actually stupid, you know, because people don't do that anymore. You can actually do a lot with just one or two lines of code. So let's run this one. And it doesn't display anything because we haven't run this yet. So you can see now it has converted it to a list, but because it's an array. But you can see now it's put apple under fruit, and right, and then the number against quantity, and the price against, I mean the 3.2 or 3 ringgit 20 cents against price. The data that we had here, right, is now converted into what is called a dictionary. So this dictionary is how information is actually passed from one system to another system. right? In JavaScript, they call it a JavaScript object notation. This is exactly it. You have curly braces for each row, and inside each element, there's the name value pair. So this is the name fruit, and the value is apple. So now I can actually create a column saying fruit. I have apple, orange, quantity. I have 7,800, 4,500. Price, I have 3.2 and 2.7. So you see how I have combined a list, a tuple, and created a dictionary. With just this simple line of one line of code, I'm able to create a dictionary. So a dictionary is like the Rolls Royce because it's got 2 bits of information in there for everybody to see. There is no need to translate this any further. It's got the name and the value that is associated to that name. So it's called a dictionary. And many languages call it many things, but in Python, it's called the dictionary. Okay, so understanding a dictionary and how it is represented is very important. Again, focus on the why. Because when we go into data handling, when we go into drawing a diagram or plotting a diagram, we need it in the form of a dictionary. All right. Of course, we can put the legend in a tuple or whatever, but in most of programming, and programming has come to an acceptance after a long time. Okay. To realize that we need to keep it simple and very light. And keeping it as a dictionary is actually very simple and very light. Later on, we will be talking about Google APIs. For example, if you want to put in your best favorite restaurant and then you will get data back, you will get the data back as a dictionary. So the moment you receive the data from Google API, you will need to be able to manage it, you filter it, sort it, find what you want. For example, if you wanted to scrape a website, oh, okay, request to slow down. Actually, this is my normal pace. Yeah, they probably I need to bring it down a notch. Maybe I'm going a little too fast. So yeah, thanks for the feedback. So this is active learning. You get feedback as soon as you find out, and then you correct it, and then you move on. All right. So this is the purpose of trying to handle data. So data is can become very unmanageable when it grows. All right. So that's why it's important for us to come to an understanding of how it can be controlled before it grows too large. So like now, we can sort this, we can filter this. All this is because of the functions available in a dictionary. Okay, so that's the Rolls Royce. Okay, but now I'm going to take you to the Ferrari of arrays. Okay, which is called the sets. Now, what is good about the set is that it doesn't allow for any value to be repeated. All right, so that is why a set is useful. That means if I wanted to create a list and I do not want any duplicates, I will use a set. So now I hope you understand the fundamentals of any language, which is called variables. And inside variables, especially in Python, you've got scalar variables and you have arrays. All right, so let's just try so now I have created types. I've got citrus, apple seed, and then I am adding one more called organic, and then I'm adding printing out the type. I'm printing out what's inside types, and it shows me. So if I were to create another organic, it won't create a double organic. It will still be organic. So it will always maintain maintain singularity. All right. So that is what is meant by a set. And another good thing about a set is that I can use a simple function like this to check whether the value exists inside the array. So let's say if I have a list of users and I want to create a login system, I can actually use sets because it'll make sure that all the email addresses are unique. Even if I accidentally added the same email address, it would ignore it. And if I wanted to check whether this email address exists, I can just do email address in list of email addresses, and it will give me an answer whether it's true or false. All right. Now, this is active learning. So you can actually try something else. And I'm going to make it fail. Okay. So let's try coconut. Okay. I know it's not a seed, but it's a fruit. So you can see that immediately I can check what's inside types. Now, this is very important because we don't have to waste a lot of time searching through the entire set. Just with one line of code, I can decide whether or find out whether the value that I'm looking for exists. All right. So that actually completes the human side of variables. Okay. Now let me bring you to how the computer actually interprets everything. It interprets it as bytes. Remember, I told you. But the notation that we use for bytes is you can either put the B in front to indicate that the bytes are coming, or you can put a /x to indicate that these are numbers. So you can see that I have created an array, all right, prime 135, 134, yeah, 2 is a prime number. Sorry, caught me off guard there. Prime, and this is a method that converts it into a byte array. So when I print the byte array, it will tell me these are the bytes. So bytes is actually a binary format represented in hexadecimal. Okay, I know I'm talking some foreign language right now, but just park it in your mind somewhere. We will revisit this. Sometimes when people don't have enough work to do, they like to go down to the byte level and move it like one bit, move it left, move it right. So you have a different set of functions that you operate on a byte array. Okay, so basically, this is the what is that, the fundamental understandings that you need in order to proceed further. Okay, one more thing I want to let you know: if you are absolutely new to programming, it's important for you to come for every class, because it is designed in such a way that it takes you one step closer, and one step closer. All right. If you do skip, please try to watch the video. Give us about 2 to 3 days to update the site, and we will share the link with you so that you can actually follow the class and understand what is it's all about. Now, it's important that you take it one step at a time, and I'm very sure that you have a lot of questions. All right, I'm very sure, and you rightfully should, and you rightfully should ask, because if you don't, then you don't know forever. So don't be afraid to ask, because we are here not to judge you. We are not here to yeah, you know what I mean. So what I'm trying to say is that now you see, like, let's say I wanted you to swim across the Selat Melaka. Okay, I'm not going to go and push you over a pot plank immediately, right? I first need to take you to a baby pool, show you, you can, it's only like 3 feet, you can stand if you are tired, and blah, blah, blah. Then slowly take you to a bigger pool, and then take you to a river, and then to the beach, and then push you over a pot plank to swim across the Selat Melaka, correct? So that is called the knowledge gap, all right? That is why we have assignments. These assignments are little assignments that you should try, Okay, sometimes it may not even make sense to me, but please update me if you don't understand. I'll try to explain. But these assignments is actually creating a gap between what you understood or what you understand right now and what I am trying to achieve or what we are trying to achieve together. So that is called the knowledge gap. And this knowledge gap is something that it is our responsibility to ensure that you can progress without the fear of failure. All right, like what I said, baby pool, bigger pool, then river, then beach, and then Selat Melaka. So that's going to be the strategy moving forward.